How do you experience profound superconscious states in meditation? It's really very easy to do if you have already done the groundwork. Now, what makes it so easy is that it doesn't require any kind of complicated technique. What it requires is an ability to direct your attention to one thing in the beginning at the exclusion of all else. That's what it takes. The preparatory work that you have to do essentially comes down to all of the meditation practice that you engage in and how you are meditating when you engage in that practice. If you have learned a meditation technique and you're going through the process mechanically, meaning someone told you to breathe a certain way or to use a particular kind of mantra, and you're doing that mechanically, you're not going to necessarily regularly learn how to slip into or move into naturally a profound superconscious state. Those kinds of techniques, doing it that way, will enable you to relax, will enable you to have those benefits of meditation that people describe on the cardiovascular system, on the immune system, slowing down biological aging processes. That's what's going to occur when you meditate mechanically and experience a relaxed state. But what many people do in that relaxed state is they just sink into the relaxed state and zone out. And it feels good. And it feels like what they might consider to be a superconscious state because their life is likely very stressful or they don't know how to manage the stress in their life. So any kind of relief feels great. They're just getting a kind of escapism without maybe using something like a drug. And that's a healthier way to do it, rather than using a drug and affecting your mind and body and nervous system in ways that they don't need to be affected. And that's perfectly fine to use meditation to relax, but that's not going to provide a superconscious state. The superconscious state occurs when you are relaxed, yet present, yet aware. And someone recently asked me, one of the Kriya Yoga apprentices asked me, can you describe what it's like to see presence? And you can't describe it because presence is beyond the mind. You can give some ideas so that you can maybe think about it a bit. But the only way I could describe it is it's like being around someone, a friend or a loved one, or just a person in general who doesn't seem to want anything, seems happy and doesn't seem to want anything from you and is completely content in whatever's going on. They're just present. They're just there. They're just ready to be there. You can tell their mind's not trying to manipulate the situation to go a certain way. You can tell they're not slightly disturbed because they're not experiencing what they thought they should experience. They're just there. Yeah, okay, this is great. In a way, that's kind of what presence is like. So when you're meditating, if you're able to maintain that awake, alert, aware experience while letting stress go, while letting tension go, then you're going to have a greater capacity to experience a profound superconscious state. So in the beginning, most meditators, they have to go through the process of mechanically practicing so that they learn how to do the techniques. But you need to avoid, as most people go, they learn the techniques and they kind of get into a rut or a groove and they just do them and they zone out for the 20 minutes to an hour or however long they're meditating, focusing on these techniques, but they're not really focused. It's just something humming in the background that's keeping them a bit present, a bit aware while the body relaxes. But any kind of relaxation procedure will do that for you. But meditation, yogic meditation, is different. And as I described all the time to people who have participated in the apprenticeship program or other workshops, the meditation internally needs to be almost as if, like, when you're outside in nature and observing a beautiful scene, you see the sunrise, or today is March 9th of this recording. It's Roy Eugene Davis's birthday. And on this day, it happened to be a beautiful full moon I could see setting in the western horizon early this morning. And to just see that moon setting over the hill, just as it went down, a giant full moon, seeing the tree line, the beautiful sky, just observing it. I was awake and I was aware, and I could see that light, that presence was there. So when you're seeing something like that in nature, that is what you need to be able to bring into your meditation process. And then you can enliven those meditation techniques by focusing on letting the body relax, staying observant and watchful, and letting the meditation techniques be the point of focus such that everything else falls away. All the stuff you're worried about with your family or your children, all the stuff that you're not sure about with your health, all the financial things, all the crises in the world, all the, are you spiritual enough? Are you good enough? Have you processed that childhood trauma enough? In this meditation, to really experience the superconscious state, you need to be able to say, this is a meditation technique. I am alert and awake in that same kind of relaxed way you would see something beautiful in nature. And I'm going to let everything else go except for, if you're practicing Kriya Pranayama, the circulation of the life force through the spine. Or if you're just simply holding your awareness at the spiritual eye, or contemplating Om, that is all that you are directing your awareness to, and everything else doesn't matter. You just let it go. And that, if you can consistently do that, knowing that as you go, you are strengthening your ability. So in the beginning, of course, you're going to be trying to focus on a technique with this kind of relaxed alertness, and you might get drowsy at first. So you have to take a few deep breaths, wake yourself up, get back in there. Or maybe you're not drowsy at all, but all these thoughts come in, all these distractions come in. So you have to kind of shake your head, and I imagine I'm just shaking my head inside, like, oh, get rid of it. And then intentionally say, no, it's not what we're paying attention to. And then bring your awareness back to the meditation technique. And in time, you will find that you are able to hold your awareness on your particular technique longer and longer and longer. And in time, you also start to recognize that those distractions that either don't arise anymore, or they're so far in the periphery of your awareness that you're not paying any attention to them. And then you are really there, perfectly in the zone, perfectly waiting, perfectly attentive. One teacher had said that it's almost like if you see a cat watching a mouse hole. The cat has no idea when that mouse is going to come out, but that cat is just there. And it's ready. It's not thinking about anything else. It's just poised. That's what you're doing. I used to do a lot of fishing, and fishing was the same way. Maybe you can relate to it. It's you cast your line out, and depending on how you fish, you bring it in a little bit more. And if you catch a little tap, tap, tap on the line, you wait. You just wait. And then once it takes it, then you set the hook, and then you've got your fish. But it's that moment where you're waiting. And in that moment of waiting, there's no thoughts there. You're just present. So maybe there are other hobbies or situations in your life where you understand what I'm saying. You know what that's like. What you're doing is you're bringing that into your meditation process. And the deeper you can bring that into your meditation process, the more profound state of superconsciousness you will be able to experience. One technique that I've used often in group settings, very simple. And again, if you already know the Kriya Pranayama procedures, and hopefully if you've learned them from me or this Kriya Yoga online channel, You have also watched the video on when not to practice Kriya Pranayama, because there's particular times you're not to practice it. But if that's not the case and you're able to practice Kriya Pranayama, a very easy, simple technique is to imagine there's like a river or a current within your spine, and that river or that current is flowing upward, up through the spine, up to the frontal regions of the brain and the top of the head. And it's almost as if all of your life force is flowing into it. And then you're letting go of attention to all distractions or all sensations. And it's all just moving into that groove and flowing upwards, up through the crown. And your awareness is just sunk into, fully engaged in the feeling or the imagination of the movement of that river from the base of the spine all the way up into the higher brain centers. And if you've ever been outside and watched a river, if you've just watched a river, it just flows. It just keeps on flowing, and it's beautiful. You're doing the same thing here. You're imagining that you're watching this river within the spine, and whether you're able to visualize it or just feel it, usually feeling response is better, just as long as you can hold your awareness there, just watching it in the same way that you would watch a river. That allows you to go more deeply into a superconscious state. But it isn't the technique that is important. That is a useful technique and one that I find that works very well. It is, are you present and are you engaged and are you alert yet relaxed? And are you able to focus on that meditation technique at the exclusion of all else for the duration of the time that you're meant to do so? So you don't want to create more stress thinking that you have to do it all day long or you need to get back to do it. Just during that 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute, hour-long period of time where you're using these techniques, that is when you're doing the training to let go of everything except attention on that one particular experience. You have to learn how to do that. And if you don't feel that you can or you're unable, it just takes practice. And even if you can do it for just a second in the beginning, that's the start. And then you work up to 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and then you work up to a minute. And in time, you can just stay there. So don't make excuses for yourself. Don't be one of those whiners that say they can't do it. Realize that we all start somewhere. And as long as your nervous system is not fried and you have the ability to, if you're able to understand this video, if you're able to hear the words and make sense of what's being said here, you've got enough, you've got what you need. Your body doesn't have to be perfect. Your mind doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be able to comprehend and hold your awareness somewhere. If you can do that, just keep doing that. And then in time, what occurs is it becomes natural, automatic, spontaneous. Like the musician who has done all the work to understand how the instrument works can just pick up the instrument and go with it. Or the person who rides a bicycle, they've fallen down, they've scraped their knees, but now they can just get up and ride that bicycle. You've got other areas in your life where you've learned to do something and now you can just do it. It just happens. Sometimes people who cook are able to do it. They don't have to follow recipes anymore. They know how flavors go together. They can just simply do it. Meditation is going to be no different. And experience in the superconscious state is not, it's not a far out magical thing attainable only to special people. The special people are the ones who try to do it and do the work to experience it. Those are the special people, because that state of superconsciousness and clarity is your natural state. And it's not special to anyone. So all of us have the capacity to access it if we try and if we train ourselves in the right way to do so. You have to do whatever it takes internally to make that shift that we've been discussing. So whatever techniques you use to experience deeper, more profound superconsciousness, remember, fully commit to the practice. Meaning, if you're going to sit there for 20 minutes, that is all you are doing. Other thoughts or distractions arise, you do whatever it takes to either ignore them, get rid of them, so that you can focus. You can deal with those distractions later when you're not meditating. And this will create kind of like a groove or a memory or a, how would I put it? A strength, really, a strength and a skill within you, such that in time, you will then eventually be able to access this state no matter what. You won't even have to use a meditation technique to do it anymore. You will become so accustomed to it that it just takes a shift in viewpoint. You just recognize it. Oh, nope, let's just shift back here because this is the experience that is more supportive overall. As you meditate, as you go about exploring these things, find a way to understand this, find a way to embody this, find a way to activate this kind of work within your meditation. And then you will find that you are regularly able to experience profound or deeper superconscious states, assuming you've done everything you can to take care of your body, you've supported your nervous system, you've cut out the excess drama in your life, you've decided to focus on what is important. Now, as you've heard me say before, life is going to happen, so you're not going to cut it all out because that's just not how nature works. But so long as you are embodied, you can do your best. And then you can find that you have access to these kinds of states, even in moments where you fully need to surrender, where that's all you can do is surrender.